So I've got this story that some of my friends have said that it has to be told. It's a bit embarrassing, but it's a story that takes place on a plane with an unruly passenger, I think is the official term. But I was flying from Heathrow in London, coming back home to Singapore, and I don't know, it's a flight. I think it's like, I don't know, checking in at about 6 in the evening, 7 in the evening, you know, and sort of going through all the different securities. And in the last security, there's this guy, and he's actually, they were giving a little bit of questions, and I was just behind him and asking him a few things, and he was a bit wasted, right? He'd been drinking, I think, and you know, after that, and I got through fairly quickly. He was sort of talking to me a little bit, and he seemed okay. Like, he was nice enough. He was a bit chatty. And he was from Portugal, I think, and he yeah, we sort of, nothing happens, go onto the plane, and I don't know, I hate long flights, so I'm just like, want to chill out. If I can sleep, which is super rare, I'll be like super delighted with that. And you know, half hour in, he starts getting pretty excited, and he's shouting a lot, and just messy, really, actually. And then it gets worse, and you know, like the cabin crew come over and they're like, oh, you know, sir, you need to calm down a bit, please. And he's kind of swearing at them, and then it just kind of gets bit by bit more and more. You know, and I'm sort of like keeping an eye on it. Like, I'm thinking, you know, if this is a bar or something, that you know, a bouncer will just come up, sort it out, no problems. But I guess we're in like this tiny like tin tube, however many feet up in the air. It's a different situation. So it's like, you know, I guess for my own safety, like, just monitor it. And so it's a pretty big plane. It was quite full, or our section was full. There's a few extra seats, but you know, you had 3, so it was like window, 3 seats, aisle, 4 or 5 seats, aisle, 3 seats. So I was on this side, on the left, and my seat was on the aisle, which is good because I have to pee a lot, so I have to get up and down a lot to go bathroom. And then he was in the middle section, about 4 rows in front, and then yeah, he sort of starts touching people and shuffling them a little bit, and you know, like big muscly guys, like, and their wives are there getting shoved, and they're not doing nothing. And then, you know, like even some ladies, they start to cry and that, because I think yeah, I don't know. It's a different scenario when you're in a plane. So the cabin crew move 2 rows in front and behind. They move them to different sections of the plane, and sort of give him some space, and keep asking him to calm down, and he's not into that. So it's like 2.5 hours into the flight. So it's like maybe 8 o'clock, 8:30 in the evening in the London time. We're going to Singapore, and then the captain comes out, and he sort of like goes up, and he tries to reason with him at first, and stuff like that, and the guy's just swearing and fuck you, all this. And then he comes back, and he has a letter. He goes, sir, I need you to read this letter. And he takes a letter, and he screws it up, throws it away. He goes, I'm not reading your letter. And the captain was quite clever, really. He had another one the same, and said, sir, I need you to read this letter. And same sort of thing. He's like, I'm not reading it. And he was like super particular, the captain. He's like, I need to understand, are you refusing to read this letter? I need to understand, is that your response? Are you refusing? And he keeps just like swearing at him and all that type of thing. So then the captain goes away, and the cabin crew are sort of behind me, and I can hear them, and they're like, oh, we're going to have to turn around and go back to Heathrow. Now, it's like 2.5 hours into a flight, and I hate long flights, so suddenly I'm sort of thinking, not keen on that at all. But still, it's not my, hello? It's not my problem. It's not for me to intervene, and yeah, I don't want to get sued if something happens and he hurts himself a little bit or something like that. And then he just sort of jumps up and he's like, oh, let me out here, I'm getting out here. And they run over and they say, sir, sit down, please calm down. Sits back down. And then he's just staring at everyone in the plane. He's looking around, and I'm sort of sat behind him, and I'm just sort of thinking like, maybe something will happen, right? Because he's like, anytime he stared at people, they'd look away, and then he felt good about that. So I was reading that terrible in-flight magazine, and he turns around, he stares at me. So I'm just like looking over the top of it, just stare back at him. And then he gets up out of his seat, and he walks down the aisle like this, with his hand out. So like, I know he's gonna like slap me in the face, but I'm thinking that's kind of good, because if he does, then I can do something, and I don't want to go back and start the flight all over again. And if he does get a little bit hurt, then maybe it's just cause, or whatever the term would be. So he walks down, and it's like he's setting his intentions, right? Like I clearly know he's gonna slap me. And I start to tell he wants me to look away, because then he doesn't have to do it. So he's engaged in this sort of game. He walks in closer and closer and closer. He pauses. I'm still staring at him. He's pop, and slaps me. It's like, fold the magazine and put it into the thing. And get up. And so I just had to like jiu-jitsu his ass a little bit. And so I just sort of, he didn't fight back, which was weird, like, and he's looking in my eyes the whole time, and he was like fairly compliant. So I just sort of push his arm like across his neck, and then my other arm grab it from the other side, there, and I can just sort of lead him back to his seat. And then he's sort of, he's like looking into my eyes, like, I'm thinking like, this is a weird moment, actually. Like, and he says to me, oh, Joao, why are you doing this? And it's like, oh, man, it's okay. Like, I'm not Joao, but it's okay. Everything's gonna be all right. He's like, Joao, we spent so much time in prison together. I'm like, oh, man, I ain't been to prison. Don't worry, just relax. And I walk him back to his seat, and the armrests were down, so I lie him across those, and so it's sort of, he can't move that much. It's a bit uncomfortable for him, I guess. And he's a Joao. Fucking I'm like, don't worry, man. And then he starts, Joao, like, fuck you, and all this, and then starts spitting on me. I'm like, and then people start to get up, and this old dude just comes up and just bang, punch him in the face. I'm like, whoa, like pushing him back, like, start to think, well, like, to be fair, he deserved it, but also, where were you before when your wife was getting like pushed around? You'd done nothing, so you just wait over there. More people come, and I'm like, just stand back. And he's still spitting on me, so I have to put a blanket on his face. And like, I look up, and it's like a Coldplay concert or something like that. Everyone's got their phones. And it's like, Anyway, then the cabin crew, the main guy, he comes over, sir, what's going on? I'm like, oh, he's slapping the face. He's like, oh, but what's this? And I'm like, well, you guys want to restrain him, right? And then he's like, yes. I'm like, so I've restrained him. So, you need to make a very quick decision about what's going to happen next. And he's like, oh, okay, wait here. It's like, all right. And then there's all the crew are turning around, people, stop filming, and everyone sort of puts it down, and then 5 seconds later. And then he comes back, and he gives me this card. It's like, like really bad IKEA instructions, and then puts these straps on the table. He goes, "Sir, can you do this?" I'm like reading it. I'm like trying to work it out. I'm still holding him. So, you want me to restrain him, like with the straps? You want me to strap him? He's like, yes. I was like, I think it's better. I said, I can't, but I can hold him, and you can put the straps around him. So he's like, okay. So more staff come over, and we sort of get him in, and they restrain his feet to the chair in front, and his arms by his side, and the straps goes around and it's around the back. So I go back to my seat. He's all in, and like they're all like on an angle and loose, like it's a pretty bad job. And so I say to the guys, like, oh, the cabin crew, you know, the straps are on an angle. I think he's going to get out. Like maybe it's worth adjusting to them. And he's like, no, it's cool. Like, okay. So then, like, you know, he's still screaming and he's turning around and staring at me. I'm going to kill you and all this sort of thing. But he, every now and then, like his feet that are strapped in front of him, he starts like smashing like really kicking it. And then he breaks his feet out of the restraints, and then like people are trying to walk past to go to the bathroom, and he's trying to kick them and all this sort of thing. And then it was quite cool. The lady with the trolley, the food trolley, he was trying to kick her, and then she walks back, and then she goes, "Aah!" and just smashes his legs. That was kind of funny. And then, the cabin crew guy comes up. Oh, sir, we need your help. We need to restrain him again. It's like, okay. So fix up the straps. Have to hold him. More spit. It was like weird flight. And then the dude sitting next to me, he's like, oh man, that was really cool. I'm like, oh, not really. He goes, yeah, let me give you the video. So he gave me the video on the phone. Bluetooth it to me. And then, yeah, for the next like 2 or 3 hours, shouting at me, he's gonna kill me, I just want to sleep. So I asked the cabin crew, look, like I'm not trying to get an upgrade or anything, but if I'm out of his like eyesight, maybe he'll calm down a bit, and we can all get a bit more sleep, because I'm desperate to sleep, but it's hard when someone's saying that they're gonna kill you. And then, yeah, so they moved me away, just in another section, not no upgrade though, but behind the curtain. And then start to sleep, and then I feel this tap, look up, and they're like, oh sir, passenger needs to go to the bathroom. And I'm thinking like really, do you really need to let him go to the bathroom? Like what happens if he does want to get out here, or, you know? And I asked him, do you need to let him do that? And he's like, oh, everyone's had a really uncomfortable flight. He's a lot calmer now, and look, it's going to smell a lot, and it'll be a tough flight for everyone. I think this is fine, but can you just wait behind the curtain and like kind of peek through and make sure everything's cool? And if it's not, can you help us? He's like, okay. So sort of did that, and it was fine, and he was more calmer, and he didn't know I was there, lucky, and yeah, then when we landed, you know, the police came on and took him away, which I felt bad about. I don't know. I don't think Singapore is the best place to be in trouble for this type of thing.
Hello, I'm Rick Folbaum. This is CNN News Now.
And then, yeah, I think within 2 or 3 hours of landing, it was in the Sun, like all the video, everything, The Independent, USA Today. And it's like got video of me, like, and I'm thinking like, oh, the guy's in Singapore, like, he's just been saying he's gonna kill me. Because the police then rang me and wanted me to make a statement. I was like, oh, I don't really want to do that. Do I have to, and whatnot? But they said, look, he's in Singapore and he has to go to trial and all this type of thing. It's like, wow. But then I'm thinking like, well, one, I just don't want to be in the paper like that. So I was like, I ring the Sun. I'm like, oh, can you take a video down of me, please? And they're like, no, this is news. We have every right to. It's like, well, if he's walking around Singapore and the only way he has to identify me is like your video. and something happens to me, are you happy with that? Like, are you cool to be responsible? And they're like, oh, we'll blur out the faces. It's like, yeah, okay, that's something. And then 2 days later I check it, everyone's face blurred out except mine, so it looks like I'm the crazy man. But anyway, it kind of blew over. I think he got a warning, and his final destination was Australia. The plane was going Heathrow, Singapore, Australia, which is where I'm from, by the way. And I heard that he didn't get in like serious trouble. I heard he got a warning, so that was, I'm sure he didn't mean it, right? So so it was kind of cool. I'm glad he didn't get like locked up proper. But yeah, that's my plane story. My friend's saying, you're a superhero. I was like, nah man, definitely not. I just don't want to go back Heathrow. I can't do long flights, or I'm going to be the one that needs to be restrained if I have to go back again. But I got a free business class ticket to anywhere in the world, so that was kind of nice. So I hope when COVID lifts and I can fly a plane or be on a flight, I hope it's a more chilled flight. Yeah.